A Men's Divorce Website Guide 1. Chapter 1. Men's Rights Guide. Men's Liberation Websites. Men's liberation encompasses two broad dimensions. Men want to be free to be sensitive and openly caring if they want. They do not want to bow down to the one-dimensional macho stereotype. Men want rights in divorce and child custody. Other issues are: they don't want a double standard in sexual harassment. They want women to ask them out on dates just like they ask women out on dates. Men don't want to be played by women who use them for money. Amazon.com/phrase/men/s liberation. AngryHarry.com. AshlockCharlotte.wordpress.com/tag/men's liberation. BigmanGiabar.com/reader submission/2007/08/13/the Liberation Army. ConsciousnessInAction.com/archive/179. Books.google.com/books/men_s_liberation.html?id=XFZ law AAMAJ. Definition of.com/men_sleepy. DelusionDamage.com/2011/03/18/men's liberation through game. drsohail.com/essays.aspx/2008/men's_liberation better_late_than_never. ebookie.org/a men's liberation GUI men3ed_248370.html. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/men_s_liberation. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/men_s_movement. enlightennext.org. epichustle.wordpress.com/2013/06/23/men's sexual liberation. everything2.com/title/men_s+liberation+front. facebook.com/pages/men's liberation. girlsaskguys.com/articles/behavior/men's liberation.html. integrallife.com/member/rahul/blog/developmental view men's liberation. ireference.ca/search/men's liberation. kat.ph/a men's liberation guide to women by samfremant1632077.html. liberationcity.org/index.php/ministries/men-ministry. lifestudies.org. lifestudies.org/weblog/2005/04/men_liberation_and_life_studi.html. mail.rc.org/mailman/listinfo/men. mbea.org/resources/betterworld/men's liberation.html. menstuff.org/pov/povs/mensmove.html. mercatornet.com/articles/view/the_men_of_the_future. monclearbull.com/monsielovist/monclear men's lib eration vestredp4886.html. monclearome.com/monclear men's lib eration vestredp1343.html. mountainx.com/article/7856/men's liberation through movement. ncronline.org/blog/towards liberation men. newmenstime.com. pediaview.com/openpedia/men_s_movement. ridingthetiger.org/2013/05/10/acri-tichueof theme ns rights movement. robertlindsay.wordpress.com/2012/02/7/the-men's-liberation-movement-the-men's-rights-movement. stason.org/tula-rc/ideology/effeminism/2816 men's liberation movement.html. thesaurus.com/browse/men_s+liberation. thesaurus.com/browse/men+liberation. thriveinlife.ca/thrive/index.php/expert-the-for-the-men's-liberation-movement. thriveinlife.ca/thrive/index.php/experts the need for Rahman's liberation movement. False accusations of abuse, molestation, or domestic violence. Innocent men get accused by ex-wives all the time for domestic violence and molesting their own children. It's common if there's a divorce pending and child custody is involved. Abuse-excuse.com, media consultant child abuse information. Abuse-excuse.com, national consultation and expert witness services. accused.com/clients/cases/child.molest.html. angryharry.com/links.htm. backlash.com. bpdresources.com/divorcecustody.html. columnist. dadsdivorce.com/article-archive/1235. dadsdivorce.com/blog/tag/charges. divorce-filing-false-charges-maryland.seeknonstop.com. divorce-online.co.uk/forum/toast.asp. en.allexperts.com/q/criminal-law-916/2008/10/filing-false-charges.htm. ezenarticles.com, child custody, defeating false accusations, mental abuse. falseallegations.com, false allegations of sexual abuse, sexual assault, or rape of child. falseallegations.com/divorce.htm. falsely-accused.net/falsely-accused-divorce-court.php. family-law.lawyers.com/blog/archive/82-during-a-divorce, false-spousal-abuse-or-child-abuse-result-in-arrest.html. fathersandfamilies.org. garychuraklaw.com/cm/fsdp/practice center/criminal-law/sex-offenses.asp. glenzaks.com, amends and fathers issues. glenzaks.com/blog/?cat=21. homepage.ntlworld.com/verismo, issues for men suffering child access problems in family courts. innocentdads.org, innocent dads, falsely accused by their ex-spouses. ipt-forensics.com/library/sodcd.htm. krpconsulting.net, KRP Trial Consulting. False allegations of child abuse. lawguru.com. legal.justanswer.com. legalhelpmate.com. libertyforlife.com/abuse/clive_divorce_case_background.htm. mensnewsdaily.com. mens-rights.net/law/accusations.htm. menstuff.org/issue/by-issue/false-accusation.html. menstuff.org/issue/by-issue/false-charges.html. oliwa.net/prebble law, law firm. research.lawyers.com/blog/archive/82-during-a-divorce, false-spousal-abuse-or-child-abuse-charges-can-result-in-arrest.html. rickcross.com/reference/false_memories/fsm59.html. secretdivorce.com/successful-divorce-for-men/domestic-violence-charges. standyourground.com/forum/index.php. stopbadtherapy.com. thefreelibrary.com/parent+sign/r+sign false+sign abuse+sign-a+sign-common+sign-tactic+sign+in+sign-child+sign-custody. thelaw.com/forum/archive/index.php/t-904.html. My wife has sued me for divorce under false mental abuse charges. ya.com/retro-fm/samsung-f3/divorce-filing-false-charges-maryland.html. Fathers' rights websites at dmoz-odp.org/society/people/men/issues/fathers%(27_rights). Subcategories: Divorce and custody. Opposing views. Organizations. Personal pages. Publications. verywellfamily.com. groups.yahoo.com/group/MikeHDads, Fathers' Rights of Michigan, a discussion and support group for men and women who recognize that fathers are parents too. Free membership required. menstuff.org/resources/resource-files/fathers.html, menstuff, fathers/men's rights, directory of fathers and men's rights organizations, mostly groups in the United States. peak.org/JEdwards/dads.html, Dads Against Discrimination, information resource created by divorced, separated and unwed fathers for the benefit of all fathers. supportguidelines.com/article/art199903.html, It's 10 o'clock, do you know where your sperm are? Article discusses the liability of fathers for child support when they don't intend to become fathers. Fathers' rights organization websites. acfc.org, ACFC, American Coalition for Fathers and Children, help with your divorce problems and register your voice in Washington. cft.org.tripod.com/index.htm, Children Fathers Together, web-based educational organization that offers fathers' rights resources and links, based in Massachusetts. dadsdivorce.com, dadsdivorce.com, provides resources to assist fathers with U.S. family law and child custody issues, articles, discussion board, guides. dadsnow.org, dadsnow. dadsnow is the focal point for organizing national boycotts and public protest against anti-family business and governmental practices. dadsrights.org, Fathers' Rights and Equality Exchange, member-supported, not-for-profit organization dedicated to the premise that parenting is a 50/50th proposition. fact.on.ca, Fathers Are Capable Too, FACT, Canadian Fathers and Children's Rights Organization dealing with custody and access which supports children's right to have a relationship with both parent. Fatherhood.org, the National Fatherhood Initiative, working to improve the well-being of children by increasing the number of children growing up with fathers, includes information, state and local resources, advice and chat. Fatherhoodcoalition.org, CPF/Fatherhood Coalition, working to promote shared parenting and to end the discrimination faced by divorced and unwed fathers, information on chapters throughout Massachusetts. FathersForKids.com, Fathers for Equal Rights, group provides hands-on services to fathers, grandparents and others who have a current or future case in the Dallas or surrounding areas, or who have children in this geographic area. FathersRightsNICE.com/LongisLand, Fathers' Rights Association of Long Island, information about and articles by an educational organization that promotes equal parenting rights. Members.tripod.com/AlphaRay, Alabama Family Rights Association, AFR.A, resource for fathers and other non-custodial parents in Alabama, includes articles, census data, links. MesaCanada.com, Men's Educational Support Association, MESA, registered charitable organization whose main objective is to help families, fathers, and children caught in the turmoil of domestic crisis. SOSPapa.net, SOSPapa.net, large association of fathers in France for rights of fathers and children. Father personal pages websites. Fathers.bc.ca, BC Fathers, resources and information for divorced fathers in British Columbia, Canada. FathersForLife.org, Fatherlessness, page discusses the impact of fatherlessness on children, families, and society. Freewebs.com/damziagul, Babies as Weapons, a father seeks easier visitation rights for men. Includes his story and stories from men in similar situations, Commentary on women's tactics to keep fathers from their children, a petition, and links. pewterdocs.com/ss page, Courts Creating Fatherless Families, a father's story of his fight with the judicial system to stay in relation to his daughter. UniteUs2000.tripod.com, Unite Us 2000, information, links and discussion forums about fathers' rights and children's rights. Fathers' rights publication websites. Angelfire.com/home/suffering patriarchy, Suffering Patriarchy, author, Robert Lindsay Cheney, Jr. shares book written to aid fathers and scholars in understanding the present apartheid being inflicted against American males and the institution of fatherhood. Download available. Betrayaloftthechild.freezerware.com, Betrayal of the Child, features Stuart Rain's book Betrayal of the Child. LeaderU.com/fatherfacts, Fatherfacts, a booklet by Wade Horn, Ph.D., describes how father absence is related to our nation's most pressing social ills such as crime and poverty. Members.tripod.com/USADad, USADad Online, online publication devoted to fathers and children's rights. WinningCustody.com, Winning Child Custody, a father who won joint custody offers how to better prepare for the legal tangle. Book for sale with samples online. Stilladad.com/zug/still-a-dad.pdf, free ebook. Life After Divorce. Canada Men's Rights Websites. Canadian Association for Equality. EqualityCanada.com. Canadian Association for Equality, Wikipedia. en.wikipedia.org/Canadian_association_for_equality. Canadian Association for Equality. EqualityCanada.com. Men'sRightsEdmonton.com. Men'sRightsEdmonton.com. Men's Rights Canada Public Group Facebook. Facebook.com/group/Men's Rights Canada. Calgary, Family of Men Support Society. 56 Avenue SW Calgary, UP T2V0G9 or 403-242-4077 or info@familyofmen.com or familyofmen.com. Ex-Fathers. X-Fathers.org. Divorce-dad-daily.com. Fathers-resources.com. Surviving Divorce, Dr. Rena Sommer and Associates provide resources, services, and information products designed to assist people to cope with the challenges of separation and divorce. RenaZoMMarAssociates.mb.ca. Some men's websites from fathers-resources.com. Fathers-resources.com. CaseAssist.com. ChildCustodyVideo.com. DNACenter.com. WarrenFarrell.com. FathersandFamilies.org. Parental-alienation-awareness.com. CCUlearning.com. At-risk.org. Bothparents.ca. DivorcedFathers.com. Fatherville.com. World Men's Divorce Websites. ANCPR.org. Canada. AngryHarry.com, UK, BC Fathers. Fathers.bc.ca, British Columbia. Fathers are capable too, fact. Fact.on.ca. Fathers battling injustice. Canadian.net/%7e fact, a political action committee in the Southern Ontario area, Fathers for Family Equity Inc. familyequity.asn.au. Australia. Men's Educational Support Association. MESA. MESACanada.com. Men's Media Network. menmedia.org, International. papaziparati.it. Italian, Society for the Protection of the Rights of the Sons in the Separation. SingleFathersOnline.com. SingleFathersOnline.com. UK, a web-based community providing support to single fathers throughout the UK. Mankind.org.uk. AussieDads.net. Chapter 3. Men's divorce rights websites from dmoz-odp.org/society/people/men/issues/fathers%sign 27_rights/divorce_and_custody. Men's rights divorce websites. Angelfire.com/ca2/fics, Fairness in Child Support, brief statement inviting interest in an organization, part of a web ring on the subject. Courttips.com, Fathers Rights Courtroom Tips, offers products in video and book format providing tips and strategies for court hearings on custody, support, and false accusations. CustodyReform.com, Reform of Child Custody Laws, resources for non-custodial parents, including discussion board, directory of family law information and advocacy of reform for custody laws. DeltaBravo.net/custody, Fathers' Rights to Custody homepage, information to assist fathers in obtaining legal and/or physical custody of their children. DeltaBravo.net/custody/malice.htm, Malicious Mother Syndrome, paper defines the divorce-related malicious mother syndrome. fact.on.ca/info/pa/willia90.htm, Preventing Parentectomy Following Divorce, address by Frank S. Williams MD. Of the National Council for Children's Rights. FathersCustody.org, Fathers Custody Center, organization dedicated to helping fathers to gain custody of their children. FathersHealthHotline.com, National Brotherhood of Fathers' Rights, offers to sell a special report titled Fathers' Rights Protection System on Winning Legal Strategies for Fathers. FathersRights.org, Fathers and Dads' Rights, pro bono hints to help fathers win divorce, child custody, and support battles and defeat false allegations of domestic violence or child abuse. Groups.yahoo.com/group/altdadsrights, altdadsrights, an offshoot of alt.dadsrights.unmoderated. For flame-free, serious discussions. Groups.yahoo.com/group/dadsinfamilycourt, Yahoo Groups, Dads and Family Court, forum for proactive fathers seeking to reform family law, focus on sharing intelligence and substantive opinions. menshealthnetwork.org/library/mhndocs/primarycaretakerrule.html, the primary caretaker theory, although the tender years doctrine of maternal preference has been widely repudiated by statute and case law, old prejudices die slowly. This is a review of the legal history and development of the doctrine. menshealthnetwork.org. menshealthnetwork.org/library/mhndocs/divorcereformfathers.html, Divorce Reform and the Fathers Movement, testimony of Ronald K. Henry, ESQ. Concerning the divorce reform movement. Steve_Tyler.tripod.com/afatherslove.html, A Father's Plea, one woman's view of the unfairness of the joint custody system, as relates to her boyfriend and his son. Theodora.com/Teddy/New York, Save Theodora Now, the story of a young child who suffered at the hands of her mother, yet was denied access to her father. Parental child abduction websites. AmberAlert.gov, Amber Alert, a site by the Department of Justice that provides information on Amber Alerts, public service announcements, a child safety guide, news, and a toolkit for raising awareness about missing children. ChildCyberSearch.org, Child Crisis Network, online missing children agency. ChildFindOfAmerica.org, Child Find of America Incorporated, national not-for-profit charity that locates missing children through active investigation, prevents child abduction through education and resolves incidents of parental abduction through mediation. ChildZarch.org, Child Search, National Missing Children Center, Child Search is a ministry to families of missing and exploited children. Under certain circumstances the center also helps families of missing adults. ChildWatch.org, Child Watch, cases of missing children, safety and abduction prevention information, recovered children stories and child ID. Event information. FindTheKids.org, the Committee for Missing Children, newsletter, events, photos of missing children and other information for parents of missing children. GlobalMissing.com, Child Abduction Resource Center, a multilingual site of resources for parents dealing with child abduction. lilaclane.com/missing-children/left-behind/index.html, left behind parent, parents of missing children, family victims of kidnapping, emotional support and suggestions on coping. mcsc.ca, Missing Children Society of Canada, non-profit agency operating since 1986 offering investigative services. Experienced in missing, abducted or runaway children. MissingChildACC.org, Project Find, will help find missing children and adults for free. MissingExploitedChildren.bellaonline.com, Missing and Exploited Children at bellaonline.com. The MEC at bellaonline.com is a resource for children, parents, and the community to help teach children how to stay safe and find resources to help locate children. MorganNickFoundation.com, Morgan Nick Foundation, works to recover missing children across the United States and serves as a support team to families and a liaison to law enforcement. Includes a tribute to the 6-year-old namesake abducted in 1995. OutpostForHope.org, Outpost for Hope, a non-profit organization for families of those lost to the streets. Message boards, flyers, resources, and inspirational materials. Polycloss.org, the Polycloss Foundation, Foundation for Prevention of Child Abduction and Aid in the Search. StopFamilyAbductionsNow.org, Stop Family Abductions Now, advocates for state and federal legislation dealing with family abduction. Reports, fact sheets, and personal stories. TakeRoot.org, Takeroot, support network for individuals who, as children, were abducted by a parent or family member. Unique informational website on family abduction from the child's perspective. vachss.com/help_text/missing_kids.html, missing children resources, listings of and links to articles, agencies, organizations, and websites for information and resources concerning missing and runaway children. False accusations of child abuse websites. Abuse-excuse.com, abuse-excuse.com, resource information and services for adults accused of child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse or harassment, or domestic violence. Angelfire.com/tx/TAFA, Texans Against False Allegations, TAFA, organization dedicated to educating and supporting teachers, foster parents, and other child care providers in a fight against a system out of control. FactUK.org, Fact, falsely accused carers and teachers, UK organization campaigns on behalf of carers and teachers who are victims of false allegations. Includes news section, how to respond to allegations and links. Members.tripod.com/cadkit, Child Abuse Defense Kit, resources for the wrongly accused, particularly those accused of child abuse. Mensrights.bizhosting.com, sexual harassment false accusation, how to combat false accusations of sexual harassment with defamation of character, unfair dismissal, and employer investigations. Pathguy.com/abuse.htm, false allegations of child abuse, information from someone available as a medical expert in cases in which he's convinced that an allegation of child abuse is false. Joint custody and shared parenting websites. web.rex.com/mrsid, Dads of Stark and Columbiana Counties, organization for the benefit of fathers and non-custodial parents of children, primarily in the counties of Stark and Columbiana, Ohio. iol.ie/pe/pe03003.htm, Joint Custody Bibliography, list of resources, primarily theses, published on joint custody since 1980. Parental Alienation Syndrome websites. coffic.demon.co.uk/pa.htm, a guide to the parental alienation syndrome, paper by Stan Hayward, discusses the situation in the United Kingdom. deltabravo.net/custody/paarchive.htm, PA Information Archive, collection of articles on PA. divorcesource.com/nh/articles/ward1.html, Family Wars, The Alienation of Children, article by Dr. Peggy Ward, including a composite case from actual examples. divorcesource.com. fact.on.ca. forensicservices.com/pa.html, parental alienation and enmeshment issues in child custody cases, attempts a balanced review of research and clinical literature on parental alienation and enmeshment issues as they appear in child custody cases. Reviews assessment and legal issues. Written by Daniel J. Rybicki, Sci.D, Deps. massey.ac.nz/tilde/k-burke/gender/econ/g-econ.htm number sign parent, Stuart Burke's Gender Economics Issues, list of links from a page of links on gender economics topics. mesacanada.com/alienlnk.htm, Mesa Canada, Parental Alienation, links from the Men's Educational Support Association of Canada. spig.clara.net/issues/pa-arg.htm, how to overcome the arguments, tips from the Shared Parenting Information Group, SPIG, United Kingdom. Pro-SE representation websites. wispar.org/news publications/Wisconsin lawyers/pages/article.aspx ? Volume =70 issue =9 article ID =22380, Unbundling Legal Services, discusses an alternative to traditional representation, where a client hires an attorney to perform only specified tasks agreed upon beforehand by both attorney and client. From the Wisconsin Lawyer. Quaker.org/wmpenn.html, William Penn, the first great hero of American liberty. During the late 17th century, Penn established an American sanctuary which protected freedom of conscience. Socrates.clark.edu, The Last Days of Socrates, famous pro-SE litigant from ancient Greece. sysg.law.pace.edu/sysg/bibelio/bibelio.html, Institute of International Commercial Law, Pace University School of Law, searchable bibliography of scholarly writings on the CISG, the unadroit principles of international commercial contracts and the principles of European contract law. WNYLC.com, Western New York Law Center, news, mailing lists, and resources for legal professionals. Chapter 4. Many mostly men's divorce websites from deltabravo.net/cms/plugins/links_page/links.php, cat.16. SPARC, Separated Parenting Access and Resource Center, a big divorce website at deltabravo.net/cms. deltabravo.net/cms, lots of info if you're divorcing or have child custody. Support issues. Divorce legal case websites. LawNewsNetwork.com, Law News Network Legal News, National Legal News Daily. LJExtra.com/NLJ, the National Law Journal. IDT.net/%sign 7E per 2/0498 number sign Titanic, Titanic Myths. dadsusa.com/state/wa.htm number sign case. dadsusa.com states.wa.htm. law2.house.gov, International Parental Kidnapping. law.topics/child_custody.html, Lee Law about, child custody. lectlaw.com/form.html, business, personal and law practice forms, the Lectric Law Library Legal Forms Room. nidlink.com/%sign 7ebobihard/parentsp.html, parentspatriae.government as parent. truthinjustice.org, Truth in Justice. caselaw.findlaw.com/data2/California State Cases/B114366.pdf, CA, excessive attorney fees overturned.pdf. legalethics.com/PA, the practicing attorney's homepage legal research. loislaw.com/pn/index.htm, Lois, the electronic law library. lawguru.com, legal questions, answers, and research from attorneys. Slamboli and Barley attorneys. law.com. gavel2gavel.com, gavel2gavel.com, a premier internet legal resource locator. michaels-smolac.com/links_spanish.html, internet legal links. jfku.edu/law/LLLReviews.html, JFKU Law Library law reviews and periodicals. lawnewsnetwork.com. court.state.nd.us/court/opinion/9200057.htm, Delzer v. Win, 491 N.W.2d 741, ND 1992. state.in.us/judiciary/opinion/archive/0821001.jts.html, in case, criteria change. jurisline.com/homepage.cfm, jurisline.com. caselaw.findlaw.com. ancpr.org/alrvisiteinterfer.htm, ALR on visitation interference. sup.law.cornell.edu/subc/html/99-5.zs.html, United States v. Morrison, VAWA. fedworld.gov/subcourt/csearch.htm, Fedworld Flight U.S. Supreme Court Decision Case Name Search. lawrunner.com, lawrunner, a legal research tool. aaml.org, American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. Parenting plan websites. pnc.com.au/%sign7epvogel/men/plan.htm, parenting plan, Mullins Hamilton, cooperative. sharedparenting.com/sharedpa/cgi-bin/hypernews/get/issues/plans.html, parenting plans forum. kidshare.com, kids hair, parenting plans, and visitation made easy. home.clara.net/spig/p-plans/plans.htm, spig, parenting plans. divorcelawinfo.com, divorce legal forms and divorce law information center. Samples and forms divorce websites. bnisearch.com/freeforms.htm, free legal forms. ilrg.com/forms.html, ILRGS legal forms menu. uslegalforms.com/federal/circuit.htm, Federal Circuit Court forms, all 50 states. lectlaw.com/files/fam23.htm, basic info about divorce dissolution. nalo.com, nalo.com homepage, nalo.com self-help law center. law.com/links.asp?k=1252, law.com free forms. frmsoftware.com, welcome to 1,000,000,000s free forms government immigration legal passport. courtforms.net, court forms website for thousands of court and legal forms. forms.findlaw.com, find law forms. Men's domestic violence websites. menstuff.org/issues/by-issues/datingviolence.html, dating violence. fathers.ourfamily.com/onepage.htm, one-page stories. falseallegations.com, false allegations of sexual abuse, sexual assault, or rape of child, how to defend against them. abusedmen.com, abusedmen.com. abusedmen.org, Abused Men Association. hhnews.com/families/article.htm, families in crisis, online articles. domestic-violence.org, crisis support network, domestic violence hotline. fatherhoodcoalition.org. religiostolerance.org/wenatcheche.htm, the Wenatchee sex rings an overview. ipt-forensics.com/journal/volume4/J4_4_2.htm, IPT Journal, Creating Memories of Sexual Abuse. Accused.com/contents/authors/article %20:002.html, accused, child molestation mental health articles. zohrab.org/wkosakis.html, false sexual B allegations during child access and custody disputes. ipt-forensics.com/journal/issues89.htm, IPT, Issues in Child Abuse Accusations, Volume 1, 1989. ojjdp.ncjrs.org/juvsexoff/sexbibtopic.html, OJJDP, Juvenile Sex Offender Research Bibliography. mens.org.nz/COSA/access %20 custody.htm, COSA false allegations access custody. tc.umn.edu/nl-home/g012/under006/issues.html, Issues in Child Abuse Accusations. maindads.org. drlaura.com/letters/index.html $?view$206, Dr. Laura, Hostility in Women. egroups.com/group/ncfc-network-forum/5161.html NCFC, Response to DV Against Men. lurockwell.com/org/weiss1.html, Where S My Frying Pan Women and Domestic Violence. ipt-forensics.com/library/index.htm, Institute for Psychological Therapies, Library. deltabravo.net/cms/plugin/content/content.php, content.250, The Battered Statistic Syndrome. mesacanada.com/sommer.htm, Mesa, Summers Report Statistics. apa.org/pubinfo/mem.html, Questions and Answers about Memories of Childhood Abuse. fathers.ourfamily.com/dvstats.htm, Domestic Violence Studies and ama-association.org/med-sci/csa/1994/rep9.doc, Violence Toward Men, Fact or Fiction. menshealthnetwork.org/library/library_mhn.htm #DV, Men's Health Network DV articles. time.com/time/magazine/article/0,326,33855,00.html Dangerous Steps Time Magazine.html. fatherfamilyLink.gse.upenn.edu/org/ncoff/leaderv/fpmlr.htm, Nkoff Literature Review. Father Presence Matters. StopBadTherapy.com, Recovered Memories and False Memory Syndrome. Landwave.com/family, Family Violence, Report from Family Resources and Research. Smoking and Custody Divorce Websites. ash.org/custody-and-smoking.html, Custody and Smoking Report, from ASH. forces.org/discuss/files/ash.htm, Smoking as Child Abuse, at least 15 states cracking down on smoking parents. ash.org/kids/custody-loss.html, article, Smokers may lose custody of children as a result of new study. ash.org/kids.html, Children and Smoking, links. U.S. multi-state divorce websites. findlaw.com/casecode/state.html, Find law state cases and codes. ancpr.org/stateinfo.htm, State Child Support System profiles from DHHS. lexuslawpublishing.com/resources, Lexus Law Publishing, Legal Resources. custodyzource.com/state.htm, Child Custody and Divorce Resources. washlaw.edu, Washlaw Web. Washburn University School of Law. divorcecentral.com/state/laws/index.html, Divorce Laws by State. ncsc.dni.us/court/site/courts.htm, court, and court-related websites. legalethics.com/pa/state/states.htm, state government and legal research. washlaw.edu, Washlaw web links to state and legal resources. findforms.com. law.uganda.edu/research/prac_forms.html, legal research links, online forms. peabodyarnold.com/research_links.html, legal research links. cpswatch.com/news/default.htm, CPS Watch, news warehouse. deadwebsite.com/government/u_s_government/state_government, Yahoo. State Government Index. ncsc.dni.us, National Center for State Courts homepage. findlaw.com/01topics/15family/statefam.html, find law family law state forms and information. legalonline.com/statute2.htm, state laws on the Internet. nevadaindex.com/3lawsites.htm, index of legal resources on the web. @advocachy.phillynews.com/data/statespedlaw.html, state special education law resources. secure.law.cornell.edu/topics/table_emancipation.htm, state laws on emancipation of minors. americanbar.org/family/family law/tables.html, tables summarizing the law in the 50 states, Family Law Quarterly, section of Family, AIM. spl.org/govpub/municode.html, Seattle Public Library, Municipal Codes Online. kiel.ac.uk/dep/por/uspace.states.htm, U.S. state and local government and politics. allah.com/state_resources/state_law_search, all law, state resources, state law search. dor.wa.gov/index.asp?PRD, WA Department of Revenue, business listings. secure.law.cornell.edu/states, LEA law by source, state law collection. law.cornell.edu/topics/table_divorce.htm, state divorce law tables. U.S. federal divorce websites. irs.gov/plain/forms_graphics/15006i01.gif, IRS support test chart. acf.dhhs.gov/program/cse/index.html, child support homepage. acf.dhhs.gov/program/cse/fct/uifsahb.htm, UIFSA Procedural Guidelines Handbook. acf.dhhs.gov/program/cse/poll/davida.htm, Fed Visitation Enforcement Program. law.cornell.edu/uscode/28/17388a.html, U.S. Code Title 28, Section 1738a Visitation Enforcement. ssa.gov/up_home/ssACT/title04/0459.htm, Social Security Act 459, CS withholding of SS or VA. lib.iupui.edu/subjectarea/spea/federal.html, SPEA Federal Government. biostat.washington.edu/government/usa.html, U.S. Government Information. lobbyistdirectory.com/federal/fedlob.htm, Federal Lobbyist Directory. dol.gov, United States Department of Labor. travel.state.gov/phone_faq.html, Department of State, important telephone numbers. ssa.gov/up_home/ssACT/comp-ssa.htm, compilation of the Social Security laws. ssa.gov, Social Security Online. inform.umd.edu/edrace/topic/us+sign w/agencies/exec/gao/report-list/91-report-list, GAO reports. tis.eh.doe.gov/oversight, Oversight Program website. access.gpo.gov/nara/nara001.html, the United States Government Manual. access.gpo.gov/nara/cfr/index.html, the Code of Federal Regulations. ed.government, U.S. Department of Education, ed. Homepage. fedstats.gov, FedStats one-stop shopping for federal statistics. uscongress-facts.com, U.S. Congressional Facts Service. ins.usdoj.gov, USIN's Internet homepage. Divorce websites for military people. navymedicine.med.navy.mil/instructions/external/external.htm, BUMD instructions. navymedicine.med.navy.mil, U.S. Navy Bureau of Medicine and Surgery. nh_bremerton.med.navy.mil/links.htm, gov, and military links, from Navius Bremerton. ogc.sccnav.hq.navy.mil/privacy/index.html, Department of the Navy Privacy Act online homepage. Parental alienation websites. fact.on.ca/fact homepage/npaf.htm, National Parental Alienation Foundation. parentalalienation.com. fnf.org.uk/pa.htm, FNF, Parental Alienation. education.mcgill.ca/pain, Pain Parental Alienation Information Network. parentalalienation.org, Parental Alienation Org, PsyCare Foundation. ukmm.org.uk/links/poslinks.htm, PALinks. homepages.iol.ie/%sign7epe/pe02002.htm, Effects on Children of PA. divorcedfather.com/alienation, Parental Alienation Syndrome Treatment Program. divorcedfather.com/alienation/pa-ri.htm, RI Hospital Program for Parental Alienation Syndrome. divorce-online.com/article/219770.html, PA. lroads.com/attachment.html, Attachment disorder often results in dysfunctional child and adolescent behavior after divorce. childalienation.com, Brainwashing Children Against Fathers. renazommarassociates.mb.ca/links.html, Dr. Rena Sommer and Associates homepage links. fact.on.ca. psissis.net/%sign7edad/fe.pdf, The Disenfranchised Father. ancpr.org/statistics.htm, Statistics and studies that support shared parenting and joint custody. childrensjustice.org/stats.htm, Child Custody Statistics. fact.on.ca/info/pa/panote.htm, Notification of Judgment, Berg v. Perlow, U.S. stop-pa.webjump.com, Parental Alienation Syndrome Information Site. t4fw.org/brochures/fg3.htm, Father's Guide on Coping with Parental Alienation. fathers.bc.ca/sources.htm, Sources. ncfr.org, National Council on Family Relations. Fathers' Rights websites. fatherville.com, fatherville.com. pacegroup.org, PACE, Parents and Children for Equality. divorcedfather.com, for fathers, separated, divorced, non-custodial. You can continue to be an involved dad. ncfc.net/ncfc, NCFC, National Congress for Fathers and Children homepage. stepfamilyinfo.org/rx/exes-split.htm, Resolving Problems Between Ex-Mates 10, 19 options for coping with an ex-mate controlled by AF. MesaCanada.com, Men's Educational Support Association, MESA. TCSN.net/Fathers for Equal Rights, Fathers for Equal Rights. zohrab.org/menlinks.html, a page of men's and fathers links. IWF.org, Independent Women's Forum. Secondwives.org, Second Wives Crusade. InvolvedFather.com. blackfamilies.com/community/groups/real fathers, real fathers real men, #real fathers real men. fathers-rights.com/fathers.htm, Fathers' Rights Services page. mfci.org, Welcome to Men's, Fathers, Children's International. fathersforkids.org/FER, National Fathers Resource Center, FER homepage. NASVO.org, NASVO Family Rights Comes First. Second WIVesclub.com. parentingpartners.com, Parenting Partners. Fatherhood.org, the National Fatherhood Initiative. acfc.org/index.htm, American Coalition for Fathers and Children Fathers' Rights for Gender Equality. acfc.org/lcolorg.htm, Fathers' Rights Organizations in America. copses.org, the Coalition of Parent Support. mens-rights.org. fapt.org, Fathers Are Parents Too, Inc. Homepage. ffer.com, Fathers for Equal Rights, Denver. childrensjustice.org, Center for Children's Justice. angelcities.com/members/fathertime/index.html, Father Time. Father's rights related links pages divorce websites. Be a fan of yourkid.org/resources3.html, resources for fathers. Feminist websites. voiceofwomen.com/articles/fathers.html, Tactics of the Fathers' Rights Movement. How can a good enough mother protect herself by Trish W. fathers.ourfamily.com/jensen.htm, Geraldine Jensen, founder of ACES. Feminista.com. divorcedfromjustice.com/home.html, Divorced from Justice, Home. now.org/nnt/03-97/father.html, Father's rights groups beware their real agenda. deadbeatparent.com/norights.htm, Bill of No Rights for Non-Custodial Parents. mincava.umn.edu/expose.htm, expose a model of judicial abuse. margaretdory.com, Law Office of Margaret K. Dory, Seattle, Washington. nowpax.org, the National Organization for Women Political Action Committee. allmenardogs.com/messbd.html, All Men Are Dogs. Message board. afccnet.org/conferences/nuo/1.htm, afcc, PA2S. sagepub.co.uk/journal/details/j0090.html. supportkids.com, Support Kids. Patricia Ireland divorce websites. angry.net/people/p/Patricia_Ireland.htm, Patricia Ireland. now.org. voiceofwomen.com. pisstoff.com/cgi-pistov/hn/get/forum/feminism/8.html. cyber-dine.com. progressive.org. Chapter 5. Divorce websites from deltabravo.net/cms/plugin/links_page/links.php. Family and Fathers Advocacy Groups. alfaray.org, a volunteer association of fit parents and extended families working to reform Alabama family law, American Coalition for Fathers and Children. acfc.org, the ACFC are dedicated to the creation of a family law system which promotes equal rights for all parties affected by issues of the modern family, American Fathers Coalition. angryharry.com. Bonusfamilies.com, fostering peaceful coexistence for divorced parents and their new families. Children's-justice.org, Carl Denninger's excellent site. CustodyReform.com, useful and informative site. Dads Against Discrimination. DadsAmerica.org. DadsDivorce.com, Domestic Rights Coalition. DadsRights.com, Men's Movement Organizations. DadsUSA.com. DadsDivorce.com. FaceandJ.org, New Jersey. FAPT.org, Fathers Helping Fathers. Fathers.com, the National Fathers Resource Center. fathersforkids.org/html/home.htm, Washington Shared Parenting. FathersHelpingFathers.com. Fatherville.com, Justice First. GoCRC.com, Custody Reform. JusticeFirst.org. Men'sDefense.org, Advocates for Men and Fathers. MenWeb.org, National Congress for Fathers and Children. NCFC.net, resource site. New Jersey Council for Children's Rights, NJCCR. NewJerseyCCR.org, divorce reform organization. Promoting responsible fatherhood. PAWFace.org. Fatherville.com. ParentingTime.net. Fathers and Children's Equality, FACE. sdsharedparent.tripod.com/index.htm. vev.ch/n. Washington'sHairedParenting.com, divorce resources for Washington State. Family websites. ParentsRights.org, divorce and child custody, free information for fathers. Divorceandcustody.blogspot.com. tpgi.com.au/users/resolve/NC peer report, dedicated to reducing conflict between separated parents. Step-family-matters.com. Divorce law websites. Lectlaw.com, divorce-related case law index. ancpr.org/caselaw.htm, by the Alliance for Non-Custodial Parents' Rights. Findlaw.com. law.indiana.edu/lib/index.html. lawguru.com. lawstreet.com/lawguide. lawrunner.com, laws online. lawsonline.com, awesome selection of stuff, Legal Information Institute. law.cornell.edu, Cornell Law School reference. Child abuse and parental alienation websites. falseabuse.com/index.php. falseallegations.com. helpstopas.com, parental alienation awareness site. parental-alienation-awareness.com. a-team.org, experts in exposing false abuse charges. Investigation websites for divorce, etc. evidence.com, evidence.com homepage. virtualgumshoe.com, virtualgumshoe.com. pmall.com, the private investigator's mal. accuratepeoplefinder.com, accurate people finder service. pidirectory.com, the official private investigator directory, online. crimetime.com/menu.htm, Crime Time Publishing Co. Click on the Black Book online for a wealth of free information resources. rcfp.org, the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. This has resources on legality of taping, using hidden cameras, and accessing public records. Infotel.net, background checks, public records, credit checks, criminal records, information retrieval usatrace.com/nationwidelocator.html, locate people, find friends, deadbeats, search, investigative resources. Stepmoms.net/pi.html, be a cyber detective, from stepmoms.net. nox.com, public records from nox.com, public records now. gao.gov/special.pub/swa/swa_ch5.htm number sign page 187, GAO OSI 97-2 Investigator's Guide to Sources of Information. homefair.com/calc/salcalc.html, the International Salary Calculator Relocation, Cost of Living, Real Estate. glr.com/stock.html, the stalker's homepage. No more privacy. ScholesInvestigative.com, Scholes Investigative Services. JournalismNet.com, JournalismNet. CheckDomain.com, CheckDomain.com, check international domain names. Repo.org/webfront/skip.html, the error skip tracing toolbox. Tracersinfo.com/links/sexlist.html, criminal and sex offender links. Searchital.net/peoplefinder.asp, search at all direct and reverse phone, fax, email, and address directories. Freeality.com/rever.htm, reverse lookup. Onlinespy.com. spy.com. Homefair.com/calc/crime.html, Netscape_livewire.src = America's Homes, Relocation Crime Lab. Crime rates, crime statistics, city crime rates, murder rates. bbb.org/reports, Better Business Bureau business and charity reports. Vitalcheck.com, Vitalcheck homepage. virtualchase.com/resources/index.shtml, the virtual chase _ the annotated guide to resources for legal professionals. militaryzarch.com, military search, military service records and personnel information, militaryzarch.com. findperson.com/nd/can.records.security/peoples.asp, online search people locate by social security. virtualchase.com/resources/index.shtml, the virtual chase, the annotated guide to resources for legal professionals. searchbug.com, searchbug.com, the most useful searches. clearhq.org, clear. clearhq.org/boards.htm, regulatory boards and colleges in North America. freepublicrecords.com, free public records, $10 membership fee. anybirthday.com, anybirthday.com, find anyone's birthday. locateme.com, locateme.com, people finder.